Hey YouTube, my name is Heather and I love anti-MLM content here on YouTube. Today I'm really excited for us to watch the second part of the National Wake Up Call. Now, this video is a bit of a longer one for me to react to, so I'm going to try my best to not talk every 2 seconds so we're not here for like 10 hours. I'm really excited to watch this video, and as always, please let me know what you think about this down below.
That was awesome. Thank you so much, Keyshawn. It's good to have you back. Thank you. I want to bring on our next speaker. 2015 must have been a really great year to become a coach because the last few weeks, the coaches I've featured have been around 7 years. Maybe that is that sweet spot that you really, really hit your stride. I mean, I know that around 3 years is a sweet spot, but 7 years seems to be like you're a pro at this. And we talked about a topic for her and she's going to bring that up to you. But let me just say that she's a 2-time elite coach. She's also a 5-star diamond coach. She has achieved Success Club 79 months in a row. Her team name is Fit to Be Free. And she is from Point Pleasant, New Jersey. You guys give it up for Megan Mosikowski. Woohoo! Woohoo! Oh, okay. I'm bringing.
That was a sweet welcome from Sandy. That was nice. It's interesting that she said that 7 years seems to be this sweet spot where people are like pros at coaching now. I wonder why. Why does it take so long to become a pro at coaching, Sandy? I thought that it was so easy to get started and to find momentum in your business and that you can start making money right away. That's interesting to me.
You're bringing her in. All right, Keyshawn. Megan, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
I'm so excited for you. And I believe that you were up for that Eastern, well, you are on the East Coast. So that wasn't a big deal for you to do a 6 a.m. workout, right?
No, I'm always up early.
Cool. And you also are starting Team Cup today, and you have a team.
Yes,
we
do.
Your team name is?
Fit to Be Free. I'm not creative or clever, but we're sticking with the team name here.
That's okay. It seems to work for you. So 7 years almost, right, as a coach. Why don't you share your journey as a coach and then share a little bit about what you've been doing in the last couple of years?
Of course. So hi, you guys. My journey with Beachbody started in 2014 without me even knowing what Beachbody was. I was working full-time as a registered nurse and I was engaged trying to get in shape for my wedding. I kind of had this idea that these photos were going to live with me and my family forever. And like, that was the thing that really motivated me to take it seriously, to get healthy. I was so inconsistent. I couldn't stick with anything. And I had a gym membership and I was maybe going once a week here and there. And it really wasn't until I met my now coach, Michael Ullman, at my gym. He was teaching insanity classes. And that was like the one class that just did it for me.
So please note that before she came across Beachbody, she was not doing what she needs to do to meet her fitness goals. She was really inconsistent and she couldn't actually stick with what she wanted to with her exercises, sorry. And then she met her coach, Michael Ullman, who was teaching classes at a gym. I learned this from Amy URE's YouTube page when I think like 2014, 2015, coaches could get certified in Beachbody programs and teach those classes at gyms. And I think that must have been what her coach was doing.
It was the class, it was how hard it was, the intensity of it, and the way that he taught was different than anything that I had ever experienced before. So when that program, Max 30, was launching, he told me that I should do it. So I did what any good challenger does. I went home, I told my husband that I wanted it, and he bought it on Amazon. So that was my beginning. He still treated me like I was one of his own. And within those 2 months of me doing that program, it was the first and only thing that I had ever been able to stick with. I lost maybe 12 pounds. My seamstress was getting all mad because she had to take my wedding dress in, but I was hooked.
So Beachbody was the only thing that she could stick to because of the accountability aspect and also because Michael Ullman treated her as one of his own. And we've heard this before in Beachbody, coaches are taught to see customers as potential coaches. And so there's a big push with coaches telling customers, well, you're doing what coaches already do anyways, why don't you get paid for it? So in my opinion, her coach was treating her as one of his own, so he could potentially sign her up as a member of her downline.
Like that was it. And it was just forever forward from that moment. So that was December. So February came around, and that was when 21 Day Fix Extreme was launching. So this time the invite was a little bit more direct and specific, but he simply told me, you need to do this program. You need to try Shakeology. You should really be a coach because you'd be great at it. So with that same impulsivity that I had, I went home and I just did that. I just went on my computer, went to the website, typed his name in, and I joined. So invites being a little bit more direct.
I hope you talked to your spouse before you did that, because if it's something that's going to impact the financials of the household, I think both partners should have a say in the decision, in my opinion. And see, her coach, Michael, said, you should do this. You'd be great at it. You're already doing everything anyways. Why don't you sign up as a coach? And so coaches are taught to eventually transition customers into coaching.
Seemed to help. But through that was what I really kind of got the interest to coach, in the sense that I wanted to just check things out. I didn't want to actually do it because I didn't think that I needed it, and I really didn't know anything about it. But he put me in his team page, and that was really the game changer for me, because I was able to see other people on the team that were sharing how happy they were, but all of the things that they were doing, all of the things that they were accomplishing, whether it was as small as a pedicure or as big as paying off debt. But I saw another nurse that was similar in age to me that had paid off a significant amount of student loan debt with her work and effort here. And I was like, if she can do that, then surely I could do something, right? So
that's a really interesting point. I think MLM distributors, not just people in Beachbody, are taught to attribute everything in their lives to the MLM. And so, oh, I was able to use my Beachbody money for a pedicure to pay off my loans. And that's fabulous if someone is actually able to do that. But my question is, did that coach do that independently of their spouse and only with their Beachbody money? Because what if their spouse has a decently paying job and their spouse may have contributed to half of the loan payment and they didn't do it just off their Beachbody money alone? I think it's very misleading when MLM distributors say that, oh, I was able to stay home. I was able to pay off all this debt without also considering the potential contributions that their spouse may have contributed to paying off that debt. Because there's one thing, say you contributed 10 grand to paying off your debt and your spouse contributed the rest of 40 grand, say, and you doing it by yourself. There's a big difference. And I think it's just very misleading to not consider the contributions of your spouse. Sorry, I said the same thing like 8 times there, but I hope you know what I mean.
10 months had gone by of me just being the ultimate creep on Facebook. And I had asked him, what do I do? How do I get started? And it really was an easy transition because I was already like the ultimate product of the product, right? Like I was showing up, doing my fitness program. I was obsessed with Shakeology. And I was actually just coincidentally sharing here and there on social media. But when he just kind of gave me that simple direction on how to get started, it was very seamless getting into coaching, which I'll go into in a little bit. But, I had never had a desire to leave my career in nursing. Coaching was just something that maybe would be fun to do as a hobby. But through just getting started, every year I was able to decrease my employment. And if you're in healthcare, you know the terms like full-time, part-time, per diem. I was able to decrease pretty much every year moving forward. But it wasn't until 2 years ago when the pandemic hit and I was working per diem as a nurse that I was pregnant. I think I was about 15 weeks pregnant with my daughter. And I felt uncomfortable going to work. I felt scared. And I went from never having the intent to leaving the profession to wanting to leave. And coaching gave me the empowerment to do so. And I was able to resign, walk away, and I've never looked back. This is what I do full time now. And
So she said that because of Beachbody, she's been able to slowly lower the amount of hours she's worked as a nurse. And then during the pandemic, she was pregnant and was scared to work. And so she eventually walked away from the profession. I feel like that would have been a good time for the income disclaimer where every Beachbody does not guarantee any coach any level of financial success. It's all based on your efforts and skill and intellect or whatever the statement was. I used to know it off by heart. I don't now. I feel like she should have said something like, my experiences aren't typical, or I put in a significant amount of work to get to the point where I could cut back on my employment. Because saying it in that way, I think it could make a new coach assume that they could eventually cut down their hours too, and they could eventually go full time, even though it's very, very unlikely that someone joining Beachbody now would be able to cut back on their employment in a year or 2 years. And she's also talking about how she was scared during the pandemic and coaching gave her the empowerment to completely quit her job and walk away. I think that shows how much the pandemic really impacted everyone, right? And how she I don't know anything about her. I don't follow this person on Instagram, but she may have been able to use that story as her walking away from her work during the pandemic as a way to pull other individuals into the business who were also scared to go to work and who also wanted to be able to work from the safety of their own home, where they can control who they come in contact with and where they can do their best to stay as healthy as possible. What do you think?
And I just feel so blessed that I have this in my life.
I love that story because we want to start featuring people who are still even working their full-time job and coaching. You know, people don't want to leave a job that they've worked really hard for, but things kind of changed. Your priorities changed. Coaching was speaking to you more. You were able to help people on the front end or back end more than you could as a nurse. I hear that a lot.
Sandy, no. Beachbody coaches do not help people more than nurses. That is an outrageous statement. That is a false statement. Nurses are literally paid to save people's lives, to keep them healthy, to save lives. That's what they do. And I hate the connection. I hate that Beachbody coaches say that they also help people save their lives, save marriages, save friendships, make parents better parents and better humans. I hate that. And I think it was Lift Panic who left a comment on a video a long time ago about how disrespectful it is to call Beachbody coaching a helping profession, because it's actually true helping professions that if people weren't in those positions, very vulnerable people would be worse off than they are now. A major helping profession, of course, is nursing, especially during the pandemic, teachers, social workers, counselors, ambulance, first responders, firefighters, what else? I don't even know. Therapists. The fact that she just said that Beachbody coaches can help people more than nurses can is extremely insulting to nurses, extremely insulting to the healthcare professionals who were on the front lines during the pandemic, literally saving lives every single day. What do you think about that? I got a little bit heated up, but I hate that kind of narrative. Please let me know what you think down below.
So thank you for everything that you've done as an RN. Take us like a couple years ago, like what's been going on in the last year or two in your business since?
Also, Beachbody coaching was not speaking differently to her. She was in a pandemic and she was in a position where she would be coming in contact with hundreds of people a day and was scared about how it would impact her health. Coaching was not speaking to her differently.
You kind of decreased your hours. And are you no longer nursing, or you just decreased your hours?
I haven't worked as a registered nurse since the pandemic started. That was kind of the fine line for me to separate. But truly, like, my activities and my effort with coaching haven't changed. They've been full throttle for probably the past 6 years, if I'm being honest. Obviously, I'm always constantly trying to improve. I'm always trying to tweak things and really always be a student. But it's really transitioned from how do I advance and succeed myself to how do I help my coaches and my new coaches find that same success on whatever terms that looks like for them.
I'm sorry I'm pausing it so much. I know I said I wouldn't, but I hate the narrative of I don't even care about my success. I care about the success of my coaches. But we all know, we've seen the I did my first ever video on this channel about the ranking system in Beachbody, and I've talked about this a bunch. She can't be at 5 or 6 star diamond without people underneath her being at diamond and holding those requirements too. So anytime someone ranks up underneath her and finds more financial success, it means that her rank, it either went up in the star diamond rank or her rank is even more solid. What I mean by that is if someone goes from diamond to 1 star or diamond to 2 star, her 5 or 6 star diamond rank is more secure, because chances are someone may not jump from 2 star down to emerald in a short time span, and her rank, her star diamond rank, would not likely go down. What do you think?
That's awesome. So now you and I talked about how your business started with an invite, right? And so why don't you, the topic about conversations that lead to invitations is one I've done before, but improving those conversations. Everybody is working on inviting, right? But there's always an opportunity to improve your connections with people so that it leads into the invitation that helps people connect with our programs. So talk about how personal this topic was to you.
Yeah, very personal. And you guys, I want you to know that inviting has certainly gotten a bad rap, right? It's something that many coaches fear or avoid. I know that I was one of them, and I see it so much in my new coaches. And I think it's because we've all been on the receiving end, even now, like I'm still on the receiving end of them sometimes, of an invite being bad or scripted, where you're left feeling either offended, gross, or intruded upon. So it's my goal to help my new coaches overcome that fear of inviting, and perhaps I can adjust your perspective a little bit and help you improve your approach of inviting, and maybe it could be something that you don't necessarily avoid.
I've said this before, but every MLM distributor everywhere thinks that their company does everything the best way and that they don't do predatory and sleazy online invites, and all the other distributors in every other company does. And Beachbody coaches, MLM people in every company, they feel insulted when they get an invite from someone that maybe does it a slightly different way than they do.
So I have to be completely honest. I have never been afraid of inviting, and it's never been something that I've struggled with. Why? I've had a great employee mindset when I started. I know in our industry, we're constantly hearing the word CEO and CEO mindset, but I attribute my success to being a really good employee when I started. I simply understood the assignment and I got to work regardless of whether I liked each and every one of those vital behaviors. I recently asked many of my Star Diamonds and Success Club All-Stars on my team, and that same response was echoed, that they knew the assignment too. So when I had asked my coach, how do I start?
I think she means by that is she listened to what her coach told her to do and did the invites in the way that he wanted her to do them, and maybe ignored fears around inviting and her worry about making it sleazy or predatory on the internet. What do you think? She's right. Most of the time in this industry, people talk about CEO mindset and you want to avoid employee mindset. But the idea of employee mindset or being coachable in Beachbody or MLMs in general is just doing exactly what your upline tells you to do and ignoring negative feelings or ignoring fear and worry that you may have.
I was beginning my coaching career. I was already committed to being a product of the product, and that initial invite advice was simple. It was the vital behaviors: connect, invite, share, do your personal development, help other people get results. Was I excited to invite? Of course not. I was certainly very uncomfortable, and I did care about what other people thought. But I knew that in order to be successful, it was something that I just had to do, and I couldn't compensate for it elsewhere. For example,
she's right. To be successful in Beachbody, you need to invite, because we all know that you don't make any money unless you have a big downline, because if you're not higher ranked in the company, you don't have access to the Star Diamond bonus, you don't have access to your matching bonus or your team cycle bonus, or not your team cycle bonus, to a high significant team cycle bonus, and you can't make a decent living in Beachbody just off of commissions alone.
In high school, if my track coach said, for warm up today, you're going to go run a mile, would I have said, no, thank you, but I'm going to run over 3 times the amount of hurdles instead? No, that would be silly, right? So consider that business activity tracker as your coach or your boss until you master the basics in your own way and put your own spin on them, which includes.
I thought we were our own business owners and CEO, and now you're giving us an example of it when you were a child and your coach tells you to do this, you're going to do it, right? There's a big difference between listening to your coach when you're a child and supposedly running your own business and being your own CEO. So I don't understand that.
Includes inviting. If you want to build a thriving team and cultivate leaders of your own, you have to master these basics first. It's really only after this mastery that you can begin to think and behave and lead like a CEO. So you might be wondering why I've never been afraid of inviting when it's something that so many of us fear. As I mentioned earlier, as a critical care nurse, you can imagine I've been on the receiving end of numerous bad outcomes, experiences, conversations that have been so difficult. And the common thing and the hardest part of that role even was just knowing that so many of those unfortunate circumstances could have been prevented if people just took better care of themselves. So I'm truly thinking like, it's not about me, it's about them, right? I'm not thinking about myself or how their reaction is going to make me feel. It's not about me at all. I'm truly thinking about how my invite could impact a person's health, their well-being, their future, their family even, if they say yes one day. I consider it an absolute.
So she's talking about how, as a critical care nurse, she was in a very stressful job and she had really negative conversations and experienced bad outcomes with her patients. I think being in an environment like that where it's so high stress and people's lives and well-being actually depend on you doing your job properly, I think that gives her a little bit of an advantage in Beachbody because I think to a critical care nurse, inviting might not be that scary because you were constantly in extremely high stress and anxiety inducing situations at work, and your tolerance is going to be higher, and you're going to be able to push through feelings of anxiety or pits in your stomach and just push through and do what you have to do, right? What do you think about that? And she also said that her experiences as a critical care nurse, a lot of those individuals, their situations may have been reversed or may not have happened in the first place if only they had taken care of themselves previously, and they could have avoided seeing her as a critical care nurse. What do you think about that? And now, so she's phrasing her invites. She's thinking of her invites in a way that will help people. She's thinking that she's helping people avoid those kinds of critical healthcare challenges later on down the road. And if she's helping someone become more healthy, maybe avoid diabetes, avoid a heart condition, she's not only helping them, she's helping their family, she's helping their community, she's helping their workplace. And so that kind of narrative around Beachbody inviting is really, I think it really lends itself to the idea that Beachbody coaches are saving lives and improving communities, improving families, when we all know that Beachbody is an MLM pyramid scheme where the vast majority of people are not going to make any money, and chances are it could just negatively impact someone's mental health, negatively impact someone's relationship with their family. What do you think?
Absolute blessing that I get to invite people to wellness from the comfort of wherever I decide to be, as opposed to treating illness within the confines of a hospital. So I've never been afraid to invite. I truly am afraid of what will happen if I don't.
Ooh, the fear mongering. And so if she doesn't invite, someone's going to end up in the ICU or end up with a horrible heart condition because she or a member of her team did not invite someone to improve their wellness and their health. What do you think about that?
And I promise you, my invites have not been perfect this whole time. I started just like any of you, and I try to, teach my new coaches or tell my new coaches that even sometimes I'll have a conversation with someone now, and my old invite will kind of resurface, and I'm just like, oh. But we all have to start somewhere, right? Whether it's your posts, your invites, your conversations, like we're all going to have those moments where we're just like, what was I thinking? But you have to start somewhere. And that's truly how you can get to improve. So I'm going to give you some tips and things that have helped me improve my invitations and things that I'm always teaching my team so that I can help my new coaches find a comfort with inviting too. So Number one, you have to believe in what you're inviting to. And you technically don't even have to have completed a program to do this. As long as you understand the mission, you've got this. You have to think, what is the purpose, the hope or dream in regard to the lifestyle that you want for yourself or that you want for other people? How has this, or how will it improve your quality of life? And how will that impact all of the people in your life that you love, like your spouse or your children? When you truly believe in what you were inviting to, you're not going to feel fearful or icky about that. You're going to want to like shake people because that's how much you believe that they should know about this too.
That's a basic sales thing, that you have to believe in the product that you're selling, or else people aren't going to find it valuable, and they're not going to want to learn about the impact it could have on their lives or on the lives of their family and their loved ones. She's saying that you can talk about the impact that Beachbody programs have had on your life, or the impact it will have on your life and on your relationships. And I think that's a way of inadvertently referring to someone's pain point. Say someone is a little bit overweight and they're not able to run around at the park with their kids. Someone might say, "Oh, I can't wait to do these Beachbody programs, lose a little bit of weight, and then I can run around and play with my kids at the park, and I'm just so excited." That's a way to draw on someone else's emotions and fears around not being able to truly engage with their children, and therefore they will like encouraging them to sign up as a coach or sign up as a customer. What do you think about that?
For me, I am always talking about how this lifestyle and our programs and products have helped me mentally. I know, and we know that all of these programs help us get results physically, right? Like that's a given. But for me, like, I don't know that I ever could have fathomed how hard being a parent would be, especially with toddlers. But because of the habits and the discipline and the friendships and support that I've created and had over the years, I have the energy and the focus and the support that helps me be a better mom and person today. And that is attractive.
Why is that? Only because of Beachbody? Why aren't you a better mom and person today because of just maturing and having new life experiences and adapting? And I feel like no one is ever truly ready to be a parent. But then once you are a parent, please correct me if I'm wrong down below, but once you become one, you learn on the job, and you would probably slowly become more comfortable as time goes on. And when problems arise with your children, you figure it out, and say you talk to your spouse or a loved one about how to best support your child. And through that process, you just become a better parent. I don't like the idea of attributing her becoming a better parent only to Beachbody and nothing to do with her autonomy as a human and just growing up and developing. What do you think?
Number two, share your heart loudly and energetically. People are always going to care more about why you are doing something as opposed to what you were doing. So as you're planting your seeds or invites, know that most people are either not going to respond or say no thank you. That's an expectation, and that's okay. It's through your voice moving forward, whether publicly in your stories or on social media, or privately in a message through your connections, that are going to compel people to join you when they watch you stick through your commitment, which is why you always have to keep going. I want people to see me alert and happy and enthusiastic about this. It's not the time to tiptoe, be timid, or just document the days as they go by. I want you guys to think of your invite and the way that you show up as your only audition. For example, it's the difference between either typing on a story or sending a message that says, "If you want to do this with me, you can, but if not, that's okay too," right? Or, "I am obsessed with this program. I feel like I could conquer the world every single time that I could do this workout. These workouts have been amazing. What is your email address? I need to send you this sample too," right? Like, that's so much better. So when you speak with more inflection and passion.
So she's just telling her coaches to be really excited and energetic, and the prospect is more likely to want you to send them a workout link. And there's nothing wrong with that in a general sales job. I think it's important to think about your tone of voice and how you're presenting yourself and the product or service to your prospect. But in this case, I think she's telling us to be energetic and excited as a way to draw on people's emotions and make someone think, well, she's energetic, she is more confident because of these workouts. That's going to happen to me too. So what do you think about that advice, just to being energetic as a way to bring people into the business?
Passion and authority that's always going to be so much more moving than just passively typing what you think needs to be said. Number 3, ditch the scripts. Ditch them, leave them behind. All the hey girl stuff, anything that's copy and paste. I don't want you guys looking for, and I certainly don't want my new coaches looking for something that they can just simply use, because it has to come from you. I like to treat people the way that I want to be treated if I were going to be on the receiving end of some kind of a proposal or invitation. So for me, I always try to keep it real, keep it short, and keep it to the point. It's not my job to get a yes. That's never my goal when I'm sending out my invitations. It's not to convince anybody to do anything either. It's simply my job to let someone know that I'm here, I can help them, I want to help them, and they are welcome to join me. So for example,
she said that it's not her job to get a yes. That is a basic sales thing as well. Salespeople are a collector of decisions. It's not our job to close. It's our job to present all the information, to present the benefits of the product, to present how the product or service will impact your prospect's life. And then they can either tell you yes or no. You're just supposed to collect a decision. She's telling us to ditch the scripts, do not use anything copy and pasted. I wonder how realistic that is. I wonder if she hosts power hours with her team when Beachbody coaches are expected to send like hundreds of invites in 1 hour. If that's the case, I doubt that none of her coaches are using copy and pasted messages, because there's no way that you can actually type out that many messages in that short of a time. What do you think?
If someone is engaging with my content online, I'm simply messaging them back, you should do this with me. If someone is watching my stories, I'm asking them, have you ever thought of doing this with me? And if it's a customer and they're killing it, I'm asking them, have you ever thought of doing what I do as a coach? I think you would be great at it. It can be that simple. And if it's not,
I wonder if she actually thinks they'll be great at it, because we saw, I can't remember if this was with G or by myself. I think it was with G, when he was telling us it's not our job to decide who's going to be great at it. It's not our job to see who's going to make lots of money. It's our job to see if they're open and give them an out. So I wonder in Beachbody if coaches actually care about whether a prospect is going to be good at it or not, or if they're just encouraged to ask as many people as possible. What do you think?
Something that you would say to your neighbor or a friend in person, it probably sounds like an invite. And I really want my new coaches to think, I want to sound like a human when I'm communicating with people. Number 4, use social media to remind your audience of what they can say yes to and why. When I first started as a coach, posting my workouts was the easy part, but I was getting a lot of objections about everything else, right? Like people only wanted to do the workout. So I learned very quickly that the more I shared all aspects of what I do, nutrition, fitness support, and coaching, that those that I was inviting were more likely to be open to at least 3/4 of those components. For example, I'm always trying to share at least one of my products in my stories daily. So lately it's been first thing. And I might not even be talking about first thing when I'm making it or when it's in my stories, but it's there. When my kids come home from camp, I'm often showing my 2 toddlers cheersing each other with their daily sunshine. I don't have to tell people what it is, but that type of curiosity often leads to people, and the people that I've built trust with, asking me, what is that? Is that new? What do you drink that for? What is
That's a great point. I paused that at a weird time. Sorry. You don't actually need to say, look at my first thing. It's so amazing. You just show yourself drinking it, show your family drinking, using the different products. And then people are going to say, hey, what is this? I'm interested. And then you don't give them the information in the comments. You get in their DMs, because that way you can control the narrative and make sure that they purchase through your website and your link, and they don't just go to the Beachbody website or look on Amazon to find the products at a discount. We learned about that months and months ago on my channel with a Fraser Brooks video, where he told us when to, or something about sharing the name of the company. And you just need to encourage curiosity and make sure that you can control the information that your prospects are receiving.
That your kids have. So that's very easy for me, especially lately when I'm helping people get set up with their Lift More Total Solution Pack, that we're adding on those products to meet the needs of their problems. And another example, I like to show screen shares of my groups. So I'll do this in my stories. So I'll do maybe like a 15 or 30-second share of me just scrolling through and previewing through some of the content. So this is going to show my audience that there are committed members, engagement, resources, and results in a community that they can plug into for accountability and success. And lastly, I'm always trying to
see the accountability part is a big part of Beachbody, and she's trying to, by doing these screenshots, she's trying to show the value of the accountability groups and the kind of support that people can receive. And remember, the vast majority of the time, individuals, cannot join these groups without purchasing a product or without being a customer or coach. And so that may encourage someone to purchase a product or get a bod description so they can have access to that community as well.
To show different areas of bod and body on the regular. So whether I'm sharing a body ride with Jared, a recipe that I'm making from the mindset menu, or maybe doing a quarterly refresher on 4-week gut protocol, I want my audience to see that there is so much more to what we do beyond the specific program that I am or will be committing to. I love helping my coaches improve their perspective around inviting, because it doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be complicated or even done one way. You don't have to view inviting as, okay, I need to sit down and send the same message to 100 people. You truly are inviting. Like for me, I'm inviting all day, every day, through my posts, through my stories, through my conversations. It doesn't have to be one noted. A simple invite was the catalyst to changing my entire life. Like just him saying, you should do this too, you would be great at it. I've touched thousands of people because of that one invite and becoming a coach.
So that's a narrative too, that because she was invited into Beachbody and her coach invited her, look at the amazing ripple effect. She's now been able to help thousands and thousands of people with Beachbody because Michael Ullman actually was brave enough to reach out. And if he hadn't invited her, then she would not have been able to help the thousands of people, and everyone in her downline wouldn't have been able to help all the people that they've reached as well. What do you think?
Because I was invited, I'm healthier than I've ever been. I've been blessed with unforgettable experiences and friendships, and it's given me more time, which is everything to me, with my family and those that I care about most. Each and every one of you has the ability to give that gift to someone else just by putting it out there. So don't overthink it. Don't overcomplicate it. It's just an invite.
So don't listen to your gut. Don't listen to your anxiety or your body telling you that this isn't a good idea. It oversteps your ethical and moral boundaries. Just re-switch your mindset, stop your negative thoughts, practice toxic positivity, and think of it as a gift instead. What do you think about that?
I love that you said that. It is just an invite, and I think that everybody kind of puts so much pressure on themselves that it has to be the invite. Facebook is lit up. When you said that you left your nursing job, a lot of nurses came out and said, yay. And somebody asked, I think it was Pamela, did you have to learn anything new? That time that you left nursing to then go full speed ahead with coaching, you said that you didn't have a fear in inviting. Did that just come naturally because you were working with people so much and your conversations came easy to you? Or did you have to flex some different muscles to coaching when you left nursing?
So I was able to leave nursing in year 3. It was only that I decided to leave in, I guess, year 6 because of the pandemic. So I was able to leave way before then. It's just that I didn't want to until the world changed, until I changed. So I wouldn't say that I had to ramp up the way that I was working. I think the way that I was working allowed me to be able to make that decision when things presented themselves the way that they did. But I do attribute a lot of my life experiences to just having a different perspective about inviting as it's not about me, it's about people, because we're not salesmen. We're not selling products. I mean, I know that we have products here, but the whole mission and belief around what we do is helping people. And I know how much better I felt and how much healthier this made me, that I felt like even with all of the experience and all of the time that I had spent as a critical care nurse, that this was allowing me to reach more people and help them in a completely different way that was so much more enjoyable. So I would think perspective is definitely the bigger thing here.
You know, I think there's growing pains with coaching. I know there's growing pains. And I often say that 3 years is a sweet spot. And now here you are, almost 7 years. But newer coaches really struggle with their friends ghosting them. It's the desperation approach of I have to sell a total solution pack that feels icky, and we need to re-educate. We need to show people that it is not icky. It's a noble thing to do to help people get healthy, fit, happy. You want to say something about that?
Yeah,
So the guest speaker told us that we are not salespeople, we are helping people, and she was able to find a way to help people become more healthy in a more enjoyable way. And I don't think she said this, but this is what I think this is what she's implying: help people in a more impactful way and in a more meaningful way than she was able to as a nurse in the hospital. And Sandy was just saying that new coaches have a desperation approach where they just need to sell a challenge pack and their friends and family end up ghosting them. If I heard that as a brand new coach, that would be a huge red flag. I'd say, why are people ghosting new coaches? That's scary. I'm going to quit. I value my relationships with my friends and family. But she's sitting there laughing about it. And I wonder why new coaches feel so desperate, because they know that if people don't sign up underneath them, they're not going to be able to make any money. And Beachbody likes to say it's not all about the money, it's about the impact. But sure, I guess it's nice to help people. But at the end of the day, we all need to feed our kids and pay our rent, pay our bills, and clothe ourselves. And so we do need to make money too. What do you think?
I can resonate with that so much. I'm an only child. My husband's an only child. We really don't have a big family, and we didn't have a big circle of friends. So I think from early on, it wasn't about how do I get my family and friends to do this. It was like as if I had opened a brick and mortar business. Like, I have to go find people. I have to go put myself out there. And I think that certainly gave me an advantage. It might have taken me longer. It might have required a little bit more work and patience, but that set me up for success long-term as a coach, because I wasn't just chasing a goal and finding people to plug in. And again, I just put myself out there, and through doing all of those vital behaviors at the same time, consistently over time, that's certainly what led to my consistent success as a coach.
So I think she shared that story to say that, look, she didn't have a huge warm market. She didn't plug in her family and friends into her business. She had to go find people, and it took her a bit longer, but her finding people outside of her inner circle led to her consistent success as a coach. But she started in 2015 when less people were in Beachbody, when it was easier to recruit people into the system. And these coaches never acknowledge, oh, well, I started 7 years ago, so it was easier for me to recruit then. No, it's always about, in this case, it's about, she just consistently did the tasks that her coach told her to do. She reached out to people in an authentic manner, and that's why she was able to recruit.
That's a really good point. And I think that friends and family are going to support you when you feel a belief and a passion about what you're doing. If
so your friends and family don't support you, Sandy, because you don't believe in it, it could be because they know it's a scam and they did their own research and they're scared that their loved one is going to lose money and have a really negative experience. So if you're a new coach and they're watching this, I hope they're not believing her. I hope they don't think, oh, well, my dad's against it only because I don't believe in myself. I don't believe in the business enough. I just need to do more personal development and then my dad will support me. That's so sad.
If it's just to try to make a point or make a dollar or whatever, it's not going to resonate with them, that authenticity, that this is something really important to you. So when we're done with this call, why don't you go over to that Team Beachbody Coach 411 page? There's some great compliments. There's some questions. You can go over there and answer. Everybody's cheering you on. Megan, my final question, what's your superpower?
My team is not going to be surprised by this at all, but for me, it's a commitment to personal growth and development. It's hard to just pick one book.
So I think I'm going to stop it here because my computer is acting really weird and freezing a lot, and I don't want to completely ruin the video. Her superpower is personal development, right? That's what she just said. And so we all know how important personal development is in the MLM context. You have to be able to push past the hard times, keep going when your business is on a downswing, when you're not making money, when you lose rank, when people quit. It's a way to keep coaches of all levels in the system for as long as possible, because we all know that for Carl, for Beachbody to make money, coaches need to be in the system, purchasing their personal volume requirements, purchasing products, purchasing all of the VIP early access, because we know that MLM distributors are unfortunately the customers in these businesses. So that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time. Bye.